Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is 3:30 p.m. I'm calling this meeting of the Maple Broadband Executive Committee to order for the 20th of April, 2026. So the first item on the agenda, I don't have approval of the agenda because this is a cut and paste error. First item that's not on the agenda is to approve the agenda as distributed. I'll entertain a motion to approve with the modification of inserting
I
approval of agenda.
Yeah, I'd also like to add a brief discussion after item 3B, a brief discussion about the affordable drop services. It's probably a 5-minute chat.
Okay, so we will put other business before next meeting.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, other business. No. Okay, great. Can I get a second on the
I move we approve the agenda.
with those friendly modifications? Can I get a second? Okay. All right. Any further changes to the agenda? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Okay, great. Public comments. Would anyone like to make a public comment? Okay. Hearing none, we can move on to section 3, which is procurement of services, affordable drop construction, and then we're going to move on to affordable drop services. So we received 2 bids for affordable drop construction. Steve, would you like to run with us? There was a
Sure. Yeah. So the contractor, we gathered contract bidders from the bidder names and contact information from WCBT that have used these contractors in years past. And so the RFP went out to those, and there was about 4 of them. And the responses, we received 2 responses, and it would essentially be no bid from the others. And one gave us a 1-page response, which listed some pricing, and they weren't really responsive to what we asked for in our RFP. I think it still is helpful to receive that information to compare pricing with the other bidder. The other bidder is Eustis. You've heard that name before. We've talked a lot about them up on Old Town Road, and they're the big dog in Vermont as far as this kind of work, because it's kind of telecommunications and installing underground duct and stuff like that. That's kind of their forte. So we went through that. Ellie and I had a conversation with Jeff Wallace, who's the primary contact over at Eustis, and went through his quote. We learned a lot of really helpful things that I think we're following up on. Ellie, I've got another update about the idea of warehousing, but we can talk about that later. They're a good fit for us. I ran by them what many of you folks are aware of, our service level agreement, our SLA that we have with the executive committee members, and also, I guess, with our governing board, is that we ask that the participants respond to communications by the end of the following business day. And that's kind of good because it's a pretty open thing, but it also makes accountability. And I asked Jeff in just the most recent communication, would you be willing to go by that? And he said, absolutely, positively. He was like, we're completely in favor of it. So to me, can't go wrong. And their pricing, we're just going to have to work through the details of what it looks like and the scope of what they're going to do, because the RFP related to conduit, period. And now we're talking to them about doing more. We're talking to them about, soup to nuts, all the way from the outside of the house to the pole. So we're going to work our way through that. We're doing it as fast as we possibly can because we're running out of time. This has to be done by October, right? So we really need to hit the ground as quickly as we can. And this is all just set up. So have several, so we're going to continue to have those conversations. But from my perspective, it's kind of a no-brainer, and I'm not uncomfortable about it. We've got good, strong recommendations from consultants and things like that on using Eustis. WCBT loves them. They've been working for years together. So I move that we engage Eustis, USCIS Cable Enterprises, to perform relevant long drop services as associated with the affordable long drop program exclusively.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Just wanted to say I have a enthusiastic thumbs up from my side as well. It's a great discussion.
Yeah, yeah, and we do have. I think they're going to be a partner. I think I don't necessarily really trust them very far, but they seem to be genuine, and I think they really get what we're trying to accomplish. And we talked a lot about customer service. We talked a lot about how important it is so that the Maple Broadband subscribers have the same experience that WCBT subscribers has all gotten, which is basically they love them, and we want the same experience with what we're having Eustace do on our behalf, and they really get it. It seems so. Great. Okay. So all in favor then of engaging Eustace for our contractor services for the Long Rock program, raise your hand or say aye. Okay, excellent. Thank you. You want me to do the affordable drop services too, Ellie?
Sure. So as you guys may have picked up, Steve and I have been working really closely on this, and I think I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But Steve is going to be running point on some of the finer points of the details of this. So that's been a great help to me. And so, yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, Ellie kind of handed this. I think I know that I report to Ellie. I know she's the boss. I'm not going to make any decisions that are contentious without Ellie's involvement. So that's kind of a fixed relationship that we have. So basically, she's given it to me to handle, and I'm going to continue to push it through in that direction. So. And then that relates to the services, the long drop services, and it was a good bidders list. JSI, who's doing the engineering for our network, they were invited to bid. What Ellie refers to as Mac Mountain, who I believe was formerly part of Great Works Internet, kind of spinoff of some sort. And so they have experience in this market, and they also have experience in Vermont doing this kind of work. So they got invited. Mission Broadband, who has been a very effective supporter of us during the, we'll say, construction oversight. They've handled the construction oversight for us as needed, which hasn't been much. And they mark up our the deployments after fiber's been pulled in. They mark up those documents and they get forwarded right onto the WCBT. It's a tight relationship, and we'd love to use them again if we can find a way. And so they got invited, and then Alex Kelly. I know Nancy will maybe remember Alex because we worked with Alex when we were working on a feasibility study. And Alex Kelly was represented RISI, Rural
Innovation Strategies, Inc.
Yeah, Rural Innovation Strategies, Inc. RISI. He worked for them, and he was responsible for one half of our feasibility study, and then the folks down at ValleyNet, EC Fiber, the big guys, they also their financial people were the other part of the feasibility study. So the feasibility study that carried us forward to being a CUD was a collaborative work between Alex and ValleyNet, the operators of that organization, and ultimately here we are. So and so he's a known commodity, and I'm going to try to cut to the chase on this because it's really another one that I'm really happy to do. Sai's trying to get in.
I don't know where she's trying to get in. It's a different link
don't
than
either.
The usual link.
She sent me a text, and now I can't find it, that asked me if she and I were the only two people in. But now I can't find her.
I will email her the link.
Okay.
Just text her back.
If she doesn't move fast, she's going to miss all of it.
I know.
So I'll keep talking here. So we got some really good responses, detailed responses, and they were kind of based on a high end of what our world would look like under the Affordable Long Drop program. And I think Ellie and I kind of went back and forth on it for a while, and getting a point when I said, you know what, Ellie, maybe I can do this, and I can be the PM, and we don't need to worry about it, because it's like we're only starting now. There's only a handful of addresses, like a dozen addresses, so maybe I could do all of it. So we started thinking about that, and then I read the RFP again, and I said, no, I can't do all of that. So In studying it, there's really two parts to that work, and one is sitting at a computer and making phone calls and updating the computer, and then the other part is kind of field work. So I think what Ellie and I agreed at this point is that we're going to kind of do. I'm going to do some of it. We want to as much as we got good responses from the other bidders. Alex came in. He's a single entity. He's not working for an organization. He's doing services for other customers, not necessarily in Vermont. And so what we're talking about is engaging a person. And to me, wonderful. And the other part is he knows Maple Broadband. He helped us get started. He understands the environment. He lives in Heartland, which is okay, 2 hours drive away, but okay. And his hourly rate is way, way less than the bids from the other bidders. Cy, where were you?
On the wrong link, apparently, which makes
That was
sense because
weird.
as an
That was
individual,
weird.
as an individual, he doesn't have the overheads associated with a larger organization. So that's a typical sort of thing, that hourly rates are higher when you're part of a bigger organization.
So I'm overconfident about giving this work to Alex because it just seems like a perfect fit for us because we don't need much right now. We're only looking at a dozen prospects. So this is a great way to cut your teeth on the project. And then Ellie and London Middlebury are going to be canvassing and knocking on doors, and things go well. Maybe it'll get much bigger, but let's figure out what works and what doesn't when we've only got a handful of projects. So giving it to Alex seemed like a perfect fit. His rate is we don't need to be public about that. Ellie and I are real happy with it, and it's significantly lower than the other bidders. And we're crafting the scope for his engagement, which we've already. I met Alex a couple of times, and he's just doing this out of his back pocket. And from my perspective, one of the things I want to bring is that if you approve this, his start date is tomorrow. From my perspective, he's got a lot he's got to figure out. He's got to understand the whole process better than I do. Probably not better than Ellie does, but he needs to really be taking the lead on this, and he's going to do it. He's going to be reporting to me. We're going to talk as often as we need to, and change his text messages and everything else we need to do to make sure he gets up to speed as quickly as possible. He wants to interview. He's going to be included in interviews with Eustis when we move a little farther with them. He wants to meet Ellie with the head of the call center in WCVT to talk about how they handle queries related to the Affordable Long Drop program. We can talk more about that later, but so I think there's some enthusiasm here on getting this done. So without further ado, I move we award that role for Affordable Long Drop construction oversight to Alex Kelly. Is there a second? Thank you, Nancy. You have a second. Discussion. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Excellent. So just a couple quick things. It really is, it'll help a lot, because I think one of the things that Ellie and I have already spoken to Alex about, among other things, is we want to kind of integrate him into our operation as much as possible. I also think that the way the draft agreement is written, we can give him other work to do above and beyond the oversight of the Affordable Long Drop program. We're not going to expect him to do anything. We want him to focus exclusively on that. But once we kind of get our feet under us, if we give him other work to do, we're going to be able to engage him for that. So
Steve, just to clarify, he's doing oversight not just on the construction, but of the whole program. Is that right?
The program.
Okay.
He's the program manager. What we call in the world of construction or anything like that. There's a project which would be putting conduit in. But then when you end up with having to get WCVT involved, then it gets really complex, and he's the program manager.
And Eustis and the customer and just to be clear, because in order to be successful in this program, there's also the pipeline. So he's responsible for taking people who've expressed interest and making sure that they've done all the right things, ticked all the right boxes. We need a crowd fiber order with products. We need an application through the long drop. But I'm still going to be working with London Middlebury and then with Green Mountain Fiber, which is Mac Mountain, on the calling and the canvassing to make sure that we get more than 13 or 14 people.
Great.
But then I won't need to worry. Once someone has expressed interest, Alex is going to take them over the finish line.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in general, that's what we're hoping for, is that it's once, assuming we get some kind of cadence, we're doing more than just a dozen and no more. I think that it will, we'll all be kind of more used to our roles and kind of correct any mistakes that were made. One of the things that I want to do, if it's okay with everyone, is I think, and we talked about it with Alex, is assign him a Maple Broadband email address, alex@maplebroadband.net. He's going to get a lot of correspondence, and it really needs to be showing up in there. I also suggested, and he's fine with it, is attending our executive committee meetings. I think it's a good idea. I think he has more visibility to what we're doing. He also sees some of the other things that are going on in our organization, and because he knows that he might be able to bring additional revenue into himself by suggesting things. He's a smart guy. He's strategic. And if he suggests something that makes sense, and we can engage him to do that under the agreement we have for affordable long drop. So that's my suggestion. He was okay about it. I actually thought felt pretty strongly about it. I thought maybe we'd pay him for that attendance, but it sounds like he's just would do it because he's invited. I also wonder, Ellie, if we want to invite him to attend the financial committee meeting whenever it's held. He seems to think that he has some financial chops, and I can't query him because I don't have any financial chops, but it seemed to me, again, that the more exposure he has to all the stuff that we're doing, the more value he might well be able to bring to our organization. So, would you think that makes sense, Ellie?
I think we'll play this as it comes, right? Because to your point earlier, Steve, we want to make sure that we don't. I like Alex, I respect Alex, and he's great, but we also don't want to be unclear about where he is and is not charging us and paying him for exploratory things where he may or may not add a value that we want. Yeah. So I think by all means, these are public meetings. He can come to them. And then if it looks like he's actually contributing in a way that makes sense, we can talk about. I just think we should be really clear. We have a contract that we can use, but if we're adding bits of scope, there are things that says additional services as maybe communicated. We just need to be careful to be really clear for the protection of all parties as to where we're engaging him hourly and where we're not. But if he wants to attend public meetings, why not?
Yeah. Okay.
And we can always choose to invite him into executive session if the voting members wish to do.
Right. Good. Okay. So then I will be inviting him to attend our executive committee meetings. He knows that they're not a big time suck. It's just an hour and a half, give or take, 2 times a month. So it's not too bad.
He also, maybe he'll be eligible for the coveted gold star, but we don't really know yet.
Not yet.
We'll see.
Yeah. He's got to go a lot farther before we get to that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think the only other item, Ellie, and I guess we can save it for after this call. There's a couple other things I want to review. I received some notes from Alex that are very helpful. He's already kind of categorizing what we need to accomplish, what his initial role is and stuff like that. So he's thinking on his feet. We've already talked, and this is all a result of basically of 30 minutes on a call with Ellie, I think it was Monday. And then Alex and I talked for about Friday. Yeah, that other one back there.
I know.
And then again Monday for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Just to kind of go through everything. We went through both of the RFPs. We didn't get around to going through the flow chart, but that's going to come up. What I'm going to do, Ellie, is I'm going to kind of capture the discussions I had with Alex this morning. And I'm going to put them in an email, and I'm going to send that detail to you and copy Alex. We'll be looking for your feedback so we can kind of make sure that we're all aligned. So that, my friends, is what we need. So we approved, Alex, right? We already said go?
Yep, we voted on that. And I think you've covered the other business. So I think unless anyone has any other business, we can look to our next meeting. So our next actual normal executive committee meeting. This has been a very strange month with bid openings and rescheduled meeting because we didn't have quorum and whatnot. But our next actual regularly scheduled executive committee meeting is next week, April 27th at the usual time. And then after that, we're back to our normal cadence of second and fourth Mondays, unless we don't have quorum or I'm on vacation or something. Okay. All right, great. I think with that, we can move to adjourn. And I'll stop the recording, and Steve, you and I can hang on and catch up.
Great, thank you.
And Ellie and Steve, if you don't mind, could